Alright, this is a game we played as a warm-up for Michael for Blood in the Sun later this month. He's going to that. It's a 2,400 point tournament. Good luck to you, Michael. This is our deployment and start of first turn. This is all pretty standard stuff. It's a basic battle line spread out across. You can see a Earthblood mirror in the middle there. Part of the tournament rules for bits is to bring a piece of terrain, and so Michael is bringing his Earthblood mirror. Then we got a couple of mysterious woods, and then everything else is standard. Some impassable terrain there beside the mirror, little castle over there on the far side, a hill, a couple hills actually. And then we got my army, the Warriors Chaos, on the right. Michael's army, his lizards, on the left. It was a really fun 6-round battle. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of this. Alrighty, and here's a quick look at our armies. On the left, far left there, you see a salamander. He had 2 salamander units. Another one's on the far right. You can't see it in the shot right now. He's got an ancient stegodon with handlers, and I really learned to hate those giant blowguns. Right next to the Steggy is his Slan. He was all magicked up and ready to irritate me, but it didn't really work out that well for him. Then he's got a unit of 30 Saurus with hand weapon shields, and the front rank is 6 heroes. So he put a bunch of points into his hero level characters to be able to move them around, make way for any side the attack was going to happen, and really have a lot of extra attacks going in. It was a good plan. And then to the right of that is his excuse me, is his last unit of Saurus with spear and a really cool unit filler in the middle. I like he does a couple unit fillers for different things. He's got leaping lizards on one, and then he's got this big block. It's good stuff. And that's another view of the Earthblood mirror right there in the middle. Yeah, so that's the lizards to start. And here's a look at my warriors. Right in the middle, there's a block of Warriors of Chaos, well, basic warriors. Slaanesh marked with an exalted hero in there. And to the right is some unpainted, but eventually will be also some Slaaneshi knights with lances. Hiding behind the knights is my demon prince. To the left of my warriors is another block of knights with ensorcelled weapons. And to the left of them are what looks like some Saurus, but are in fact more another block of warriors. And piggybacking on the warriors is a unit of 3 dragon ogres. They look pretty stealthy though, as you can only see one of them. And to the left of them is some warhounds. Out of this shot, I should say, to the right is another group of warhounds, but they are cleverly disguised as wood elf horses, and then another unit of 3 dragon ogres. Yeah, that's what I've got. It's was not the most efficient list, I think, because I was just building 2,400 points with what I had. I really built around 12 to 1,300 points of warriors, so I was just filling out some stuff that, as you can see, I haven't even primed yet. So still, the plan I wanted was mostly working, except when charges failed me, as they did repeatedly. Alright, so here we are, top of turn 2. You can see that we've just each moved up a little bit. No real engagements yet. You can see my wood elf horsey dogs and my dragon ogres in this shot. Actually, my entire line has moved up a little bit. You can also see down at the far end of the table, Jordal's salamander has moved up. You can't really make it out, but they are in there. 10 of his skink skirmishers did jump into the castle down at the end. So here's a different view. You can see that Jordal has moved his line up as well. You can see my entire line on the left side is moved up. We're both approaching the center of the table. We've got the water feature in the middle. Jordal's got his units in it. just a bit, a few of his characters. The water feature here in the bit scenario allows any character that is in it to cast miasma. It's a bound object spell for the purposes of the scenario. So he's got a couple people in there, and he was able to successfully get it off a few times. He got 3 bonus victory points for that over the course of the game. Behind him you can see that I got off Plague of Rust to lower his armor save by 1 so far on his big block of sources with the heroes. And on the left side you can see one of my units of dogs is much smaller now. He did manage to get off Flock of Doom on them, and he caused 2 wounds there, so 2 of my doggies died. It was a sad, sad day for warhounds everywhere. At the far side of the table you can see my dragon ogres and my warhounds all ready for a long, medium-sized charge on his salamander in the forest. All my dudes are set up for charges here at the start of the turn. I wanted to leave him long charges with my movement, and he didn't take them. But I got a lot of swift stride here, so I felt confident that I could make those charges. And I've got my knights moved up, my warriors in the middle, they did not move. I've got my second group of warriors and my second group of dragon ogres moving, trying to make life a little bit more difficult for the salamander that's just out of shot. There's a charge coming up there, and that's it for this shot. And here's a little head-to-head shot across the table. My warrior's staring down his lizards just to finish off this little piece of the segment. So turn 2 didn't go so well with my charges. As you can see at the far end of the shot, neither my dragon ogres nor my horses that are actually warhounds actually moved. They both failed their charges. They needed 7 on swift stride, 3 dice, and got both under 7, leaving my knights, you can see one running away there in the middle of the shot, to go up against the ancient stegodon unaided and therefore unsuccessfully. I did manage to take out all 5 of the handlers though. So, yay for small victories. Actually, it was a pretty good victory after the last handler died. The Monster Panic test, he ended up going into, I forget the exact name of it, but he could not move, could not attack, could not do anything unless engaged. All he could do was turn to face the closest enemy. My warhounds have moved up, as you can see. My other block of knights, they did their job. They ran up and engaged the block of Sauruses there. They got wiped out. Well, not unfortunately. They were designed to die. I was just hoping they would last more than 1 turn. But they did some good damage, and in their overrun, they ran into the pool, which is a dangerous terrain test, and they lost a couple more there. So I lost 5 figs, and I realized after the fact I was not using all my attacks on either of my knights. So bummer for me for not paying attention to my stat lines. But whatever, they did their job. They softened up those units, and they took care of the handlers. And then closest here to the right of my table, my side of the table I should say, my warriors had charged the salamander, and he chose to flee. So the salamander did not get any shooting off. The salamander at the far end of the table did get some shooting off, but to no avail. And then down there at the far end of the table again, you can see that the warhounds are fewer in number. You got another Flock of Doom off. In my remaining move phase, you can't see it here because they're off the table. The dogs that had panicked last turn did not rally and actually ran themselves right off the table. So an excellent use of points there. Yay me. I didn't get off any significant magic this turn. He managed to dispel everything that I put out. But on the upside, he was also having problems with magic. Magic did not work well for him at all this game, and we'll get to more of that in a little bit. So here you can see I have not moved up my center block of warriors with my Exalted Hero yet. I'm waiting for Michael to make the commitment with his sources in the pool. I got a little better view of my horsey that ran away and an unattended stegodon, so that was good. Magic, as I mentioned before, did not go well for Jordal in the third round. I forget what he was trying to cast, but he failed to cast it on 3 dice. He only needed 12 or so with a level 4, and on 3 dice he still came in under 12. So that ended his Magic phase ingloriously for the Slann, and to my benefit. Honestly, if his Magic had worked at all well, the game would have been a little bit more difficult for me, but certainly would have been much easier for him. The benefits to him would have far outweighed the minuses for me. But he was not getting any spells off, and for that, I thank his dice. So as I mentioned, I failed my charges with everything on the left side of the table. As a result, he was able to flock of doom my dogs a little bit. They did not break, but they were whittled down. His salamander in his shooting phase was able to get a couple wounds on my dragon ogres, but none were taken off the table, so that was good. And he got an amber spear off on my demon prince, so that little orange triangle is a d4 that I use for my wound counters. It was frustrating, the horrible charging on the left side of the table. But they're all still in good good range for some swift striding charges. Still at the salamanders and at salamander, I should say, just one of them at this side of the table, and the stegodon. I feel confident that my dice will redeem themselves in my next movement phase. So here we are at the top of round 4. You can see my right flank is significantly more empty than it was last turn. I had put my wolves into his lizard's flank just to hold them up, just in case my dragon ogres for some reason managed to roll 3 ones and didn't get their charge off. But they did, and they got into his Saurus unit. And I was really expecting to whip up on them. I wasn't really expecting the wolves to do much. They were just there to hold them up one turn, just in case my ogres didn't get the charge off. But ogres ran up there with their additional weapons and proceeded to do squat. He didn't. They just did not perform. He took away my wolves, and essentially he won on combat res. He didn't do enough wounds to me to take out a single ogre. But in retrospect, throwing the wolves in there just gave him 3 extra wounds. And then he had rank and command. So it went against me, and I failed my leadership test. I mean, come on, the Dragon Ogres have 8. Even I think I only lost by 1. I really only needed a 7, and I failed that. And it was ridiculous. I swift stride run away, and he still runs me down. It was pathetic. It was embarrassing for the Dragon Ogres. Well, if they were still alive, they'd be embarrassed. Instead, now they're just Dragon Ogres, boots and belts. Down at the far end, you can see that he did manage to get a spell off this turn. He did limit my mobility on the Dragon Ogres down there. He reduced my movement, making my already futile charging from the left flank even more pathetic. My Demon Prince is just hanging out in the middle, wondering what's happened to his army, because it's falling to pieces slowly. My 20 Warriors of Chaos right in the middle there with the Exalted Hero. Still not doing anything. It's become clear that Michael's not going to commit to charging through there, though he did pop out one of his heroes into the middle of the mirror. Not quite sure what his logic was there, but didn't end poorly for him, and it didn't affect me at all. And down here at the front of the shot on my right, my heroes there, I should say my warriors there, are still continuing to harass the salamander that's off the table. Excuse me, I should say that is out of the shot. His Slann is still creeping around. His magic has not been at all effective. I believe this round he got that spell off irresistibly, and then lost all his dice. And that has been his downfall as far as magic goes all game. In this game, he miscast once and lost all his dice, and 2 other times he did not even get his first spell of the round off, and so ended up canceling his own magic round due to lack of efficiency. So I'd like to think that if I had gotten any of my early game charges off, it might have been a different game. But by this point, I was realizing that the best I was going to get was a draw, unless something really really fortuitous went my way, and even a draw, I'm thinking at this point, is going to be stretching my luck to its limits. So here's a different view of the far end of the table. You can see the Dragon Ogre. I do have a couple wounds on him. He's been sniping them. My Demon Prince is just hanging around, wondering what to do. You can see he's put his salamander between me and the Dragon Prince, but that gives the Dragon Prince the salamanders and the Demon Prince the salamanders and the Dragon Ogres the Stegodon, which is what I think I'm doing. And as I pointed out earlier, you can see his little hero level dude just hanging out in the wading pond, splashing his toes on this hot, hot day. So here we are at the top of turn 5, and you can see at the very top of the screen the futility of my Dragon Ogres continues. They did manage to get their charge off last turn, despite the hindrance of hindering their movement. And they got into the Stegodon, and then promptly lost combat. You can see he's down to 2 there, so he lost combat poorly. Well, he already had 3 wounds on one of them, so I guess he didn't lose it too poorly. But he then, of course, failed yet another leadership test. I mean, people, these are decent leadership. I should actually be rolling these because I'm not losing by combat by that much. Very frustrating. So he ran away. Very, very frustrating. Horrible. Horrible. But, you know, the Stegodon, he couldn't run him down at least. I guess that's a plus. But at this point, top 5 with them running away almost to the edge of the board, they're pretty much a non-factor anymore. The Demon Prince had charged the salamanders, and I wasted a breath weapon on them on it, and it did nothing. It came down to my normal attacks that actually took the thing out. But I didn't want to leave the breath weapon on the table, and I felt certain that I wasn't going to get it in on anything else. You can see my block of 20 with the Exalted Hero still not doing anything. It's just sitting there wondering why it's out there doing anything on the map at all. And then my pseudo warriors, well, actually you can see that Jordal had done a little reform on his side of the turn previously, and moved his Saurus around, trying to get a line on my warriors over there around that piece of impassable statuary, but he couldn't quite do it, so I managed to get my warriors into him, and that's how they're going to stay locked up for the rest of the game. I expected to be able to take those out in a turn or two, but and at least get those points off the table and help try to get myself towards a draw, but it didn't really turn out that way. And then you can see the Slann still sneaking around back there, doing slanny things with his beast magic. It was just very frustrating. He still didn't get anything off this turn. He failed, but we started talking about a showdown between our generals. My general was actually the Demon Prince, and his is the Slann. In this bit scenario, you get an extra 2 points. You don't have to win the combat, you just have to engage in a combat with the general's units. So we figured we'd just get together at round 6 to get those 2 points as well. And here are just a couple different angles of the top of the round, different shots of what's going on. Some sad fat dragon ogres running away, and the center of the table where most of the action is taking, my warriors, his warriors, the Slann, the Demon Prince. It's all good stuff. It's all good stuff. So here we are, partway into turn 6. I had forgotten to take some photos right at the top of turn 6, so some movement has already happened. Per our agreement, I've run my Demon Prince out behind his lines so that the Slann can get a charge on me, and we will have glorious combat to end the game. As you can see, our two units, my warriors and his Saurus, I mean, I'm whittling them down, but I'm just not consistently getting the right combination of hits and wounds. I hit a lot and then don't wound, or I don't hit a lot, but I get all the wounds in, but I can't consistently get both in this game. It was very irritating. His other Blockosaurus, they just hung out there, same as my warriors. He had run his hero back into the unit. You see there, my exalted hero popped out. He was going for glory. He was going to run out there and try to take care of the Stegodon. I think the Stegodon had full wounds. I think he had 6 wounds, so I had the potential of killing him because I had on him Demon Blade, and I also had the Allure of Slanesh, such that if he wanted to attack me, he was going to have to pass a leadership test, and he was too far away from the Slan to get the Slan's leadership, so I was fairly certain he would not be able to attack me. And with the Demon Blade, I got D6 plus 3, so attacks with that thing, so I was potentially going to be able to get, no, D4 plus 3. I don't know. I forget what the exact stat is, but the point is I was potentially going to be able to do enough attacks that if they all hit and all wound, which was unlikely, I could kill the Stegodon with just him, and that's really what I was going for. Slim chances of that, I know, and in fact, it didn't happen. But hey, when I retold the story without the video, it was going to be an awesome, epic battle in which I just cut it down and into Bronto burgers. Excuse me. Other than that, not a lot went on in that round. As you can see, I whittled down his warriors, but unfortunately he got his source, but unfortunately he got some back on me, so I just wasn't able to do it. So in turn 6, we're having an epic battle. Michael is having some success with his dice now on magic, and he's going to get off enough buffs on his warriors such that I'm not going to be able to finish them off this turn. And unfortunately, I had to save my dice for the 2 buffs that I knew he was going to cast on his Slan. A bunch of extra attacks and a bunch of strength and toughness buffs. I saved my dice for those wisely, but not to good effect. He didn't get the dice off for them. Well, he got the dice off, but I got the dispels off. So his Slan was not super buffed up, but his Sauruses were just buffed up enough that I wasn't able to finish them off in this turn. So here is the battle between his Slan and my Demon Prince. You can see the Slan has 1 wound token already trailing on him over here because of the miscast earlier on. It was a horrible combat. I got a lot of hits in, but as was the tale of the tape, I got all the hits and no wounds. Unfortunately, or fortunately for me, his 1 attack was as ineffective as my 5. So we ended up charging each other, doing no wounds. You know, actually, I guess I did a wound, but he had a banner because he's his BSB as well. I think that's how it ended up working out. He charged with the BSB, and I got 2 wounds. That must have been how it went, because it ended up being a wash on the combat res. It was supposed to be the epic battle between generals. Ended up being a little bit less than epic, with both of us leaving the field with not a lot going on. Just run up, girl fight, and then leave. And here Michael did charge his other unit of Saurus through the mirror to get into my exalted hero. The hero did fail his charge, obviously, against the Stegodon. I needed a 12. I knew I wasn't going to get it, but, you know, no guts, no glory. They suffered a few hits going through the dangerous terrain, but not much. And then he put all his heroes, as this unit is supposed to do, in the front rank, and well, they were already there. And then he just picked which ones were going to be in combat with me. Then I busted out the Allure of Slanesh, but unfortunately this unit was close enough to the Slan, because this move actually happened prior to the charge. So His unit was close enough to the Slan to get the Slan's leadership, so that, the Allure of Slaanesh, did not do me much good. I actually survived 2 of the 3 heroes. It was the 3rd hero that actually did me in. That saved us from having to do a bunch of rolls for all the spearmen, the hand weapon shield folks in the 2nd and 3rd row. Because the Allure of Slaanesh, we got to look at that rule, because it says you've got to take a leadership test, but then it goes on to say each model that fails the test. So I got to find a fact to see if it's, because it's written like the whole unit takes a test, but then it specifies each model that fails the test. So we were doing a roll for each model, and that could have turned into a whole lot of really annoying rolls just to see who could attack. So I'm going to have to research that one a little bit. Or maybe if there's another Slaanesh player out there that knows the answer to that, is it as a unit, or is it each individual model that has to pass the leadership test on the Allure of Slaanesh? I'll leave a comment down below. I'd really appreciate it. So yeah, that is the end of the game. It ended with Michael getting 300 to 400 point victory, maybe a little bit more than that, because my other unit of Dragon Ogres did not rally, so ended up running off the table. So he got a couple units of Dragon Ogres, a couple units of Knights. I got his Sallies, and I got something else. I can't remember what. But anyways, points-wise, I did not come anywhere near getting the draw that I was hoping for. But had a good game. This was a really good game. This was the first time I've played Warriors at 2400, and like I said at the top of the video, it was not optimized for anything. I was just using what I actually had assembled, and in the case of my Stealth Dragon Ogres, just using empty trays, because I don't even have a second unit of the Dragon Ogres at this time. But it was fun to see them in action at a higher level, and it was fun seeing something a little bit different in Jordal's sources. I see a lot of potential for my Dragon Ogres, assuming I can actually get them to charge and then stay in combat should they happen to lose. A couple other things I'm going to try to change up, but I like I had planned to do this in waves, send in some stuff to get eaten up and soften them up, and then send in the hammers to finish stuff off, and it kind of worked. But like I said, no charging on one half of my army really hosed me on that. A lot worse than Michael's lack of magic did. So it came up to be a 300 or 400 point victory for Michael overall, and on the bits scoring, that's going to be probably around 7 or 8 point win, and then he had all 3 extra points for using the terrain as a spell, and then getting the generals into combat. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and leave any comments below. Thank you.